Alright, here's the problem with Assassin's Creed, and I'm gonna try to keep this video short, as short as I can. So, it all started with Assassin's Creed, this guy right here, first game that came out. It's set so that you're a modern day dude experiencing your ancestors' memories, reliving their stuff to find ancient artifacts through history to help save the world. Templars versus assassins, that kind of thing set up, right? So it all started with that. You got the modern day, and the past. Okay? Go from the modern day and you're experiencing your ancestors' memories. Cool. Great concept. First game, it released in like 2007. Not the greatest game ever, but it laid the foundation for the rest of the series. Assassin's Creed 2 came out. Okay? And we got Ezio Auditore. By the way, this one had Altair and Desmond. Alright, very important. So we got Ezio, right, in 2. Now, he had 3 games laid out for him. Went across his entire life. Great sequels. Got more Desmond stuff, more stuff with Ezio. All that combined. You had the skills transform over. It was great. At least it felt great. And then, when they were done with Ezio's story, they went to Assassin's Creed 3, which this is... Oh, there's also this one. That one's the remastered. They went to 3. Okay. Got to play as Desmond still, and he had a little bit more modern day stuff. The most modern day stuff we'd seen at that point, you could actually do these linear missions to get some artifacts. But you play as Desmond, and you're like going out. Very linear again, but you're in these like different areas, and you get to hide from guards and sneak around, and there's some like they're carrying pistols and stuff, and it's modern day. You're in the present times, whatever. So you're doing that. It was kind of cool. We got to see the skills go from Connor in that game, the guy in the past that you're reliving the memories through, and then the skills came to Desmond, and Desmond was able to do all the same stuff that Connor did, except Desmond doesn't have a bow and arrow, but still got the hidden blade and climbing on stuff kind of skills. So that was cool. And then, in the end of that game, they decided to kill him off. Uh, Probably because, I don't know, at some point, Patrice Desilets left Ubisoft and all that shenanigans, whatever stuff happened. So he had to go. So the story basically died with that. I think, okay, so he left before that, right? So, not completely his fault what happened with Revelations and 3. I still think Revelations had some good connective tissue, but maybe it's just because it's connected with Ezio, and who doesn't love Ezio? Anyway, so all that connective tissue. So he leaves. Assassin's Creed 3 is the end of Desmond, basically the end of what Patrice Desilets had like set up in the first place. And now we have to move on in the games without him. So then we got Black Flag, which this is the remake coming out. Excited for that. But the original Black Flag, since there's no Desmond, who are you in the modern day? Where does it go? Well, you're some guy nicknamed Numbskull in an Abstergo office. You know, the evil people, the Templars, they're connected, whatever. And it's kind of like this like weird meta thing about Ubisoft, like the game company, because in the game, the Abstergo company is known for like making games and trying to like sell that to people. I don't know. It's some like weird meta, whatever. It doesn't matter. But you're just some guy that it's a first person view. In the other games, you could be third person, run around Desmond. You see his whole thing, hoodie and everything, personality, voice acting. It's all there. In Black Flag, no voice acting, no personality. You're just some dude with a tablet walking around, new job, whatever. It's like you're treated as a nobody, and that's kind of just what it feels like. You're just some guy at a new job, and that's about it. You don't really know what's going on. And it just like kind of leaves something to be desired. And they have some characters that return, Rebecca and Sean. Who? How could you forget about Sean? So they're in there, but it just kind of reminds you of that sour taste that was left in your mouth by Desmond no longer being in the story. So it's kind of like, okay, so what are they doing here? Like, are they going to continue it? And they went on and on with other games, and Lucy and Sean would make reappearances, and you know, they'd show up again, but Desmond never came back, so it's kind of like, okay, so I guess we're just never doing that again. And then eventually, they finally give us a protagonist in the modern day again. It's with the newer RPG Assassins, which starts out with Origins. This guy. So in that one, you get to play as Layla Hassan, going back in time, still experiencing, I think, Desmond's ancestry, but just using like other, like his blood or someone else's blood to like get in there. I don't know if it's Layla's ancestor. I don't know. Honestly, do not really care about her because the way that they treated her from Origins to Odyssey to Valhalla, kind of a nothing character. Again, like you don't really get to do a lot with her, kind of similar to like Desmond. And the whole point of the games is so that the so there's this thing called the bleeding effect in the Animus. When you're going through and experiencing your ancestors' shit, you're doing that. You're going back in time, playing through whatever, and you're taking on the skills that your ancestor could do that you can't do, but now you should be able to because you've been essentially entered in this like weird VR space where it all like accumulates into your body. So it would have been cool, but all they really had Layla do was hop on a boat one time or another, and then she got to talk to Cassandra. She did kill some guards, and that's about it. And I don't like that Cassandra's like the only returning character that we have at this point, who's just kind of this excuse to have a returning character because they're like, oh, she lived forever and she had the staff. It's frustrating. So Layla dies in Valhalla because she gets basically body snatched into this machine by Basim, which Basim is a guy that showed up in Valhalla. He was an assassin that met Eivor and was trying to help him with the cause. I don't know. And apparently he's Loki, and then Eivor is Odin. I don't know. I don't really care about all that like mythological stuff. Was never really a fan of like all that stuff in Assassin's Creed to begin with. And I know that they had a lot of like ancient ones and Isu people in Assassin's Creed 2, but I don't know. I don't know that it necessarily mattered to me as much as like Desmond's story, and I still found it cool, but it just kind of goes in that mentality of like this character was always meant to be around. I don't know. It can just be a little cheesy sometimes. So they did all that, killed her off in Valhalla, and then they have this weird little thing where she's in the machine talking to the reader, and it's the same like voice actor for Desmond Miles, and I'm like, what are we doing? What is this for? Like, are you just trying to get us nostalgic for a time that no longer exists because your company is falling through and you've gotten rid of all the people that originally worked on these games, so there's not actually like passion happening anymore, and it's really just like a billionaire's wet dream to just pour all this money into something that doesn't actually matter, but you think that the gaming industry is just a toy for you to tinker with? It's just frustrating, and I wish Assassin's Creed was dealt a better hand because it's one of my favorite game series, if not my favorite, and it just holds a lot of good memories for me. I think there's been good things introduced in some of the Assassin's Creed games, but I just don't feel like they've nailed home what they actually want to do with it, and it feels like the fans don't really know what they want. It feels like they don't know what they want, and I feel like that needs to be figured out if we're going to keep pumping out these Assassin's Creed games. And I would just love something that had an actual story that mattered. And I don't know, maybe start having sequels again. Why is it that we only get one game for Naue, one game for Cassandra, one game for Bayek, one game for Eivor? Like, let's do more, you know? Not just some $40 DLC that gets you some new packs and skins. Like, let's make it an interesting story again. Or, you know, sell the IP or just shut the whole company down. I don't know. Where's that Prince of Persia remake at, huh?